I'd have to say, adversity loves your ego.
It's like baseball, it will knock your ego out of the park.
Exactly. Baseball is the means that drives the message home. It's the vehicle that shapes the message. And it's really about life. I mean, it's the curveball. We've all been thrown a challenge. We've all been thrown this unexpected path. And it's about how we pivot. It's about how we do new things. It really has forced us to actually make really conscious choices as to how we adapt to things, to new situations, to adversity, to challenges.
Thank you, everybody. We've got a big audience from the Robin Sharma Titan group as well, just let you know.
Awesome.
So they're very excited to see you.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I think let me just see if everything is running good. Everything is running good. And yeah, for everybody just seeing Colby for the first time. He's from Toronto, Canada, if I'm right. But I will allow him to quickly introduce himself properly.
For sure. So, I'm a law graduate from the University of Liverpool in the United Kingdom. And this kind of gets into the book, but, I've always had a creative, bend to me. Even when I was younger, I remember I loved to paint, I loved to draw, I loved to create. And, I've always had that kind of passion within me just throughout my life so far.
Hi, Jasper Basson here. I just wanted to remind you about the Daily Entrepreneur Tips series. It's a business growth series for entrepreneurs and contains financial information and also information to grow you as a person and your business, because we will never grow our business any higher than we grow ourselves. So click on the link below and I will send you daily information to grow you as a person and your business, and it's for 365 days of the year.
So it's interesting. I'm more or less the same in the sense of I'm an accountant, so it's the professional side of me, and also the kind of creative side as the entrepreneur and writer and those kind of things. So it's a
great duality. It's a great duality to have, because the law degree, fantastic education, but there's something to be said for the creative aspect of you, that really that spark that really that really just motivates you and just moves you.
It's interesting. Your first book, The Curveball, was, as I just mentioned to you as well, it's kind of like it's coincidence. Either it's planned or it's coincidence. But you wrote this book, and the Curveball is all about overcoming adversity and developing grit. And was it really planned for lockdown, or was it really coincidence?
It wasn't planned for lockdown. I never anticipated, obviously lockdown. I'd never anticipated, the pandemic. But it's something that truly fits the moment. It truly encapsulates this present moment that we're faced with, as a human race. I mean, this global experiment of lockdowns, of, measures that curtail us. But, it really has timeless lessons for a very timely moment in our world today, where we are forced to regain, to relearn new things. And not new rituals, but the same rituals that we already have, just put them into a different way, to really go through an incremental process once again.
I agree with you. I think that's something I mentioned to. I'm working a lot with entrepreneurs, and something I mentioned to them all the time was lockdown was really the shift between what side of the equation you want to be. If you really want to be a high level, high performance entrepreneur, you need to dive in and accept that this is the best time to grow. Or your decision might be, I don't want to grow, and you will be left behind, because I think there's a massive shift currently because of this lockdown.
For sure. I mean, adversity has the seeds of bountiful opportunity. It has great, nuggets within it that if you can pull it out of it, you can come out much better, on the other end. I mean, if you look at, the lockdown, if you look at, what it's done, it's really made us, if you choose to adapt to it, even if it wasn't, it really has forced us to actually make really conscious choices as to how we adapt to things, to new situations, to adversity, to challenges, just to come out stronger again.
I love that one principle in the book. There's about 5 core principles, if I'm correct. If I took all the 5 or everything from the book, but there's 5 that I spotted, the 5 principles, and the first one is actually to take it's a baseball book, so it's one base at a time, and it's something that I always, there's a new perspective from the book, but the one perspective I always had was to become a successful entrepreneur, you need to build the process one step at a time, in this case, one base at a time. But it's a nice perspective that you actually change from coming up from adversity to also do the same principle just from another angle.
For sure. So thematically, the book isn't a baseball book per se. It's not a sports book, but baseball is the means that drives the message home. It's the vehicle that shapes the message. And it's really about life. I mean, it's the curveball. We've all been thrown a challenge. We've all been thrown this unexpected path. And it's about how we pivot. It's about how we do new things once again.
So what was your suggestion be to any entrepreneur that kind of went into lockdown and one of their businesses was really part of this, like a restaurant, total closed down, can't operate?
Yes. So, the first thing I would say is, page 23 of the curveball. We go through adversity one base at a time. And what I mean by that, and what I'm trying to suggest, is we embrace incrementalism again. You have to do the smallest steps. What is the next smallest step I can take to really get to where I want to go ultimately? And that's very, very important in this challenge, in moments of adversity, where too often we get into and we've heard this before, but the flight or fight stage. And if we chose to do the fight stage, we need to do this next smallest steps we can take to really get us to our goal. I'd say the next thing, page 43 of the curveball, choose your pitches. And what I mean by choose your responses, as humans, we have an agency to choose how we respond, to not be reactive, to actually be very proactive in terms of our thinking, in terms of our responses and our emotions to those responses. I mean, it says it in the book, we can choose to be, full of gratitude, full of abundance or scarcity. Can we be happy or can we be sad? And we can really choose how we respond to that. And even the main character is like, oh, really, I have this power. Well, you do have this power to choose that, to choose how you reorient yourself based on the stimuli and based on the triggers that are presented to you. And, finally, I'd have to say, adversity loves your ego. Adversity does love the part of you that refuses to do these, seemingly small things, but really have a massive impact down the line.
It's like baseball, it will knock your ego out of the park.
Exactly. Then there's the third element, I'd say, page 67 of the curveball, remember your rituals. I mean, the rituals are important because, even it says in the book, when the going gets tough, the tough return to rituals. Well, I mean, we all have those rituals, but it's not so much, doing new rituals. It's doing the same rituals we have, but just doing them in a different way. Or we've replaced the rituals. We need to get back to what those rituals were that made us successful in the past, to find success again, and to really remember that, in tough times, rituals can be the smallest thing that really spark something strong, a really powerful response to really power through adversity.
You mentioned a few very massive nuggets there, but something that really stuck to me still was you can either have gratitude or kind of regret or fear. So you can't have both. You need to decide what side you want to go to. You can have both in the sense of you can decide which angle you want to go, but you can't have both at the same time. So it's very important to to speak your truth in a sense of and realize that everything you kind of speaking and thinking and acting manifests over time, depending on what side you want to go.
100%. I mean, Viktor Frankl said it best. Between the stimulus and the response, that's where we find our freedom. And in the freedom, in that pocket of space, that's where we can actually choose how we respond to the adversity, how we respond to it. Do we choose to feel, do you choose to feel optimistic again that, there'll be something better that will come out of the lockdown? Or you gave the restaurateur example. Something better will come out of that. Is it a new way of doing, selling pizza, for example? If there's a new way of it can be positioned online in a different way. Can I reposition supply chains in a different way? Can I, rejig my manufacturing in a different way? That's all possible if we choose to operate from, a well of positivity and a well of optimism once again.
I agree with you 100%. So let me take you a bit back again to you mentioned going back to your rituals. I remember about 10 years ago, I went through a very bad business failure, which obviously stimulated me to grow a lot. And obviously in lockdown, there's a lot of, when lockdown started, it was like this kind of subconscious thought about everything that happened like 10 years ago. And I must be honest, for the first about 2-3 weeks, I really struggled to kind of stick to my habits and rituals because everything was like kind of a mess. But the moment I kind of started training again every morning, early in the morning, and when I started journaling, and when I started all these various rituals that I've actually been doing before that, I could feel a lot lighter, and I'm actually more productive and everything again. So I want to dive a bit deeper into your rituals that you kind of had before lockdown, and then what you kind of adopted or maybe still retained after that.
Well, I think, lockdown really made me much more deliberate on the current rituals that I do have right now. It made me, to really be more thoughtful, because we had so much time to really, be deliberate, and intentional as to what you set to put out on it in journaling, or, I started to meditate a bit, yoga, just like myself. But it made me very deliberate as to what I do in that time, because you had so much time just to be free, just to try new things, just to take in the moment for what the moment is. I agree.
I think that's a very powerful point. I think we're all so addicted to all kinds of distractions all over the place. Might it be work, might it be cell phones or technology, whatever the case may be, that we kind of forget to just kind of appreciate the present, appreciate the now. That we kind of we stress about tomorrow and we have regret about yesterday, but we kind of we kind of lost the idea and the feeling of today and the presence.
That's a great point. And just kind of going back a bit to the book, but in the book it says we're so addicted to home runs. We're so addicted to that feeling of grandeur, of and the example was the crowd loves it. The crowd loves the spectacle. They love the grandiose, the home runs, the hero mentality, that hero ball syndrome. And what that really means is, we can choose to operate in a different way. We can choose to operate by getting to the next base, after that, because the ballpark is a 360-degree mentality. It's a 360-degree. There's 4 bases, but if you go to each base again and again and again, that's a home run, just without the home run though. So you're really removing the grandioseness of it, the spectacle of it, and you're really going back to the beginning. You're really going back to incrementalism and focus, and really choosing to be very deliberate in your responses to adversity and to really push you through this challenge.
Beautiful advice. I really like it, and I think that's something that we all kind of, especially these days with instant gratification, we always want to kind of hit that home run. We always try to have that one big thing to kind of influence our income or whatever the case may be. And the truth is the people the entrepreneurs that constantly small daily steps kind of work towards the business, in their business, and grow the business and grow themselves, obviously. It's a lot more, there's a lot more gold in that.
100%.
I just want to quickly check, I'm going to continue with the interview in a moment. I just want to quickly see if there's any comments or any likes. I see there's a lot of comments. Let me just try to actually get there. There's Annika Sharma is somebody in South Africa. She said hi. Thank you and Ravi Sharma, awesome. I'm sure that's probably somebody in your side. Ben Schmidt is one of the people also part of the Robin Sharma group. He said, can we ask questions? Please, Ben, go for it. Fire away. I would love it. Please communicate. We're not just the two of us. I mean, we're both trying to add value as much as possible. So yeah, please fire away. I will try to keep my eye on both screens. So I'm gonna kind of dare to ask this question because it's more related to me in the sense of South Africans. South African entrepreneurs, you mentioned ego. Ego's very big and kind of not always open to listen and to grow. And you kind of mentioned just now, adversity is kind of the thing that break your ego. So what would you suggest to any South African entrepreneurs, especially going through the stage, kind of don't want to admit they're going through adversity? Any advice for them?
Well, I'd say, start off like, Freud said it best. There's the tension between the heroic self and the egoic self. So I'd say when we focus on, being very deliberate with like incrementalism, really trying to just kind of do the next right thing, one base at a time, one sale at a time, one rejigging of the product at a time, one, changing to the supply chain at a time, one, great team meeting at a time. Those are very, very important to get to your ultimate goal, which is, succeeding and thriving amid lockdowns, amid a very tough time in the South African economy. I'd say that kind of goes very well with at page 79 of the curveball. I say adversity really is a team sport. He's given the example of leadership and responsibility for the team, and he's caught up with I'm the CEO, I'm like the leader, the star on the team. It should be me, should revolve around me. That very hero ball mentality. But you should be at the service of the team, though. It's giving the responsibility for the team. Be the last one out of the locker room. I think that's a very powerful point when you're taking it to the business realm and, for all the entrepreneurs that you deal with. But to be at the last one out of the locker room, last one out of the pitch meeting, the last one out the door. I think that's very, very important when we look at adversity as a team sport, because we all need each other. We are our brothers, sisters. We are our sisters' keepers. No man is an island unto itself is the quote. I'm paraphrasing, but it's very important to reach out to others, for help. I mean, we can't do it alone. From an entrepreneur's perspective, we won't be as good if we did everything alone in our business and not being very deliberate as to who we ask for help. So my suggestion is just to take all of that together and just to really help us thrive in very unstable times right now.
I think that's a great point. Adversity is a team sport. I think it's always important, but I think during this time even more important to surround yourself with a dream team, whether it's suppliers, whether it's clients, whether it's employees that kind of your outsourcing staff, doesn't matter who it is, mentors, even if you can go a bit deeper into choosing your friends correctly, choosing your people that you surround yourself the most correctly, and also understanding who are the toxic people in your life that don't want you to succeed, that kind of spread that negativity and toxicity in you.
And build like a boundaries around like, what you do and what you don't want, with them or around you.
Right. So a few things that I've just wrote down as questions before we go to this. I see there's a Ben Schmidt also had a question. Ben, I will get to you as soon as possible, or just now. You mentioned obviously one of the core ideas of the book is grit, and obviously small daily steps, every base at a time kind of idea. Is there any other suggestion for developing grit? If I'm not currently, one of the things I believe is if you're not doing kind of pursuing your purpose and your passion, I love the word ikigai, but if you don't pursue that, it's very difficult to kind of have grit, because you don't have any drive to kind of pursue anything. But is there anything that you would suggest other than one bite at a time to kind of develop grit?
For sure. So, I mean, I'd say, also what's very, very motivating, I'd say very kind of important, is your why. That's like linked to the purpose point, but the why are you fundamentally like doing this for what, for what purpose? What really kind of gets you out of bed, like in the morning? So what are you doing, and why is that so important, to you? I mean, when I wrote the book, I had a very strong why. I had a personal moment of adversity that I went through in my own life, and a bit of that experience is sprinkled in the book. But that was a very powerful, motivating factor for me to get through it, to bring it out. So I'd say, being very solid as to the why, not just chasing, the next like flashiest thing, or just why is this so important to you, not just because everyone else is kind of doing it.
And I guess also kind of strip everything that's not important, kind of strip that away from you, kind of that Pareto law, 80-20 principle, kind of strip everything away and kind of just go towards your why and your purpose.
And remember, we succeed because of adversity, not in spite of it. Too often I think, we get into that stage where it's like, adversity and then going backward is somehow like flawed. It's somehow seen as not good enough. Well, we're really going backward to go forward again, to really pare that self back to go forward, because going forward is going to have so much more to offer us.
I agree. It's kind of that saying that you kind of go one step backwards, but you go three forward.
Totally.
Kind of prepare yourself to grow even further.
Totally. And also, there's a phrase like in the book where it's like, it's okay to do that. It's okay to go backward. It's not so much that we've kind of like forgotten our past and we've forgotten that, but we can really choose to be within us to go forward again.
Amazing. Let me get to Ben Schmidt before. So Ben Schmidt asks, how do you know the difference when something isn't working or something won't work? When do you know to stop and trying something else versus push through? Must I repeat that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sorry, how do you know the difference when something isn't working or something won't work? When do you know to stop and try something else versus pushing through? So kind of, how do I know I need to go through this, or I actually need to pull back and stop what I'm trying to do? So it's kind of also, do I need to have grit or not?
Right. Well, I'd say if I think what he's trying to say, do you continue just to persevere, at all odds, or do you really, take a step back and change it? Well, I'd say, it depends on the results. If the results aren't there, for whatever reason, for a prolonged period of time, let's say, then it makes sense to not really, push the rock continuously up the mountain if the rock is falling on you. So I'd say if the result isn't really there, if you're not really seeing anything, then it makes sense to just kind of like pull the plug and kind of like disengage.
I agree. I think that, and also when we kind of, I believe that's something I lived by for the last almost 2 to 3 years, is to what is really giving me joy, what's giving my heart and soul joy, and do I need to do something to kind of, must I just push through and have grit to kind of get through something, but it doesn't deliver me any joy, and then if that's the case, if it doesn't deliver me any joy, then scrap it and let's kind of refocus.
For sure. I just wanted to add something to like the previous question. Well, as I began the book, sometimes you have to lose something to find everything, and really, it's not like a material loss per se, but sometimes you need to have, a difficult situation, or you need to have like, something not go well to really find the seeds of having, everything again, to have that kind of like bountiful opportunity again.
Yeah, it's like a mountain a beautiful mountain that kind of burned down, and you need to burn down before something beautiful can come out again. So it's sometimes you need to kind of level the sports ground, and then we can go up again. No other questions there. So I think our time is kind of over. So I've got about two more questions for you. It's not really, I think we run through kind of all the principles of the book. So from my side, is there any other morning routines, daily habits that you kind of put in your life that really serves you well, other than that you've mentioned previously?
Like journaling, meditating, I try to talk to like my friends as much as I can. I think like, in this moment, that's a very like kind of deliberate thing to do, because we're all going through something together. Just like a check-in is very powerful, very important. I'm a big fan of the phrase, what's most personal is also what's most universal. If you're going through something, guaranteed other people are going through it as well. So I think that's something I've been very very conscious about doing.
Then 5 books that you suggest any entrepreneur should read.
So I'm reading like
obviously except for Curveball.
I'm reading right now. It's the Almanac of Naval Ravikant. It's a really good book.
Right.
Yeah. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, one of my favorite books of all time. It's about a seagull that really transcends his limits. And there's a great phrase from that, to go to where our goals and our dreams lie, we must be able to transcend the limits of the flock. So that's a great point if we're trying to go to where our highest potential is, and kind of like for the entrepreneurs that you coach, but to really block out the cynicism, block out like the critics. So that's very, very important. I loved Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday, The Art of Making and Marketing Work That Lasts. So I love what he talks about creating a perennial seller. I'd say Like a Virgin, Richard Branson. I'd say the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. I'd say, I'd say those are, I think those are core 5.
I've actually just, I'm busy with Nelson Mandela's autobiography. It's quite a thick one, and it's like, I think it's probably the same size than Steve Jobs. And just last week I actually got on a second-hand bookshop. I actually got Steve Jobs' autobiography as well. So, what's that?
How's the Nelson Mandela one?
It's very good. I must say, especially from South Africans, you grew up in all kinds of, the apartheid era and all kinds of stuff. So it's quite interesting and heartfelt to actually read his life story and how he grew up and all the struggles he had. So I really enjoy reading his book. It's a very good current trait of mine. Right. So there's another Connor. Logue. I'm not exactly sure how to write it. Let's go, Colby. Let's go, Colby. Awesome. Then lastly, like I mentioned, there's a lot of the Titan group, people on this Facebook Live as well. They're very excited. Any valuable lessons you learned from your dad?
I can write a whole book on that.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can, because I've been a student from him for probably 8 years. So, and that's why I initially read about you, Colby. I read about you in the Greatest Guide.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the first time I knew about you.
Oh, wow. It's great to do this. We can chat properly. No, I mean, profound inspiration, for me, not only in terms of this book and what I took from him in terms of making work that really resonates with people. I was there 4 summers ago when I was writing it. I saw him. Okay, this is how you do plot, characterization. In terms of lessons, one of them is just continue to do works of impact. Really, just works, of just impact that really just help a lot of people, and just really focus on that. And I'd say the other thing, the focus on originality, just being really original, being like your true authentic self. And I say, I really consciously strove to do that in the curveball, because I had the personal moment of adversity, but I loved sports genuinely. I really loved baseball. I played baseball. So I really recreated what that looked like in the book, that stadium setting, the fans and all that. So, and that was just my authentic self. And yeah, and I think I really wanted to see how a sports book would be like, but mixing life lessons in it. And
I agree 100%. I think that's one of the biggest things I really also trying to achieve in my life, to become more and more authentic. I believe every person, I've got a saying, God doesn't create extras. And I believe everybody, if you don't fully kind of pursue your authentic self, you don't give the world what you can give them. Because nobody remembers copycats. They all remember the authentic person that really made a difference and been different.
For sure. I mean, just to the point on the authentic self. I mean, there's a Japanese proverb, and it's, we all have 3 faces. One we show to the world, one we show to our family and friends, and one face we never show anyone. Ones we just keep locked tight. So I think, we become too there's a default mechanism, a default stage where we just have a mask on, that permanent mask on. We never show anyone. We never show, the feelings. We never show anything like that. And I think in this moment of adversity and these challenges, that is so important to have. That, you may be struggling or things aren't going well. Please help me. Please help me get back to where I need to go forward again. I think that's so important, especially in the business community and the entrepreneurs that you coach.
100%. Love it. Colby, thank you so much for your time today. Whenever you want to come to Cape Town, let us know. We will gladly host something again. Everybody that watched today, let's get together and then we can do something.
Sure, Jasper, it's been a real pleasure of mine. Thank you so much for this opportunity. May I suggest where people can find the book?
Yes, so there's the last 2 things I want. That's one, and the other is obviously your online course that you also created based on the book, and what people can find from that.
For sure. So you can find the book on Amazon in paperback, ebook, and in audiobook form. You can follow me on social media. Instagram is Colby Sharma Official. Facebook, The Curveball 426. You can also find the course I created based off the curveball, just going deeper into it. On the link in my bio, it's on my website. So you can find just more information on the course and more about the book, and can find ways to contact me.
Awesome. I will just, after this Facebook Live, I actually put a link of that online course as well on this link, and also on the YouTube channel. So everybody listen here, that's on YouTube right now, you will also be able to link through that. Colby, thank you very much, and I hope to speak to you again in the future.
Hopefully speak to you in person, but it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Privilege. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.